Milani has been giving us so many signs that they are a top drugstore makeup brand to watch this year. I just feel like their recent releases have been pretty innovative. They're not just putting out their version of whatever's hot, they're taking trendy products and putting their own spin on them to create something new. And that definitely seems to be the case with their newest makeup launch I'll be trying today. These are the new Milani Keep It Full Glossy Plumping Balms. Lip glosses, lip plumpers, and tinted lip balms have all been having a moment over the past few years. This is a 3-in-1 multitasker, combining glossy shine, balm-like comfort, and a plumped pout. But this isn't just a fusion product, there is a twist. They say after 4 weeks of daily use, these are clinically proven to deliver increased lip volume. So not only are they supposed to deliver immediate results, but more long-lasting results over time. They say they use a hydrating maxi lip blend that includes mango seed butter, pomegranate, apricot, and Kalahari melon oils that offer a cooling sensation while comfortably plumping. And just like a lot of Milani's other new makeup, these are made in Korea. Now, I previously reviewed the Milani Keep It Full Max Lip Plumpers, the one that just look like glosses. Those contain mango seed butter and chili pepper resin for a more traditional lip plumping experience. They're spicy and they sting a little bit. And while I do think that's one of the more effective drugstore lip plumpers I've tried, the results are still pretty subtle and temporary. So I think it's very interesting that they're emphasizing those long-term results, which other drugstore lip plumpers don't offer, but I am curious about the immediate effects. We'll do some befores and afters, but first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. This channel is dedicated to budget-conscious beauty. If that sounds like your vibe, hit subscribe. Before we get into the swatches, I wanna do our before and after plumping test. I have nothing on the lips right now. I have even removed my lip balm, and I'm going in with the shade Jam. So this is a twist click up type pen. Ooh, okay. Really gliding on easily. Now this is for sure a tinted product. This does not have as much pigmentation as their Keep It Full Max Lip Plumpers. Those have like the pigmentation of a liquid lipstick. These are definitely a little more translucent, but this is a very pretty everyday shade. I would say that the consistency is on the thicker side, but in a cushy way. It's definitely not sticky, and it doesn't feel heavy by any means. It just feels very cushy. It almost feels like a lip mask. That is definitely kind of what I'm getting here. Okay, timing. I'm not feeling any cooling sensation quite yet. I have noticed recently though that a lot of hydrating lip plumpers that have come out recently, they're not necessarily making your lips look bigger like diameter wise, but they end up looking fuller because the hydration is kind of giving your lip lines a smoother appearance. So I'm wondering if that is the type of plumping that I'm going to get here, or if I'm actually going to see like inflammation, because that is what most lip plumpers rely on when we're talking about the stinging type of lip plumpers. And I do have a whole video comparing some of the top drugstore lip plumping glosses. And what most of them have in common is that they use some type of irritant to actually trigger blood flow to your lips, sort of like a mini allergic reaction. So often it is something like chili or cinnamon. And as the blood rushes to your lips, you do get an inflamed or plumper appearance that is temporary. So hydrating lip plumpers are obviously going to be a little more gentle and a little bit more of an optical illusion, if you will. 2.5 minutes and I am starting to feel a sensation, but I'm kind of like feeling it in my mouth. I wonder if I got some on my tongue. And okay, I am feeling it on my lips too. It's not cooling like an ice pack, but it's almost, as I breathe in and talk, I can feel the air over my lips and that feels cool. But I am feeling a little bit in my throat, which means I probably got some of this in my mouth. That happens with normal lip plumpers too. But this formula is like completely smoothing out my natural lip lines, and I have never gotten lip filler. These are 32-year-old natural lips. I do have lip lines and they have never looked smoother than this. So with those lip lines being basically filled out, it does look like I have fuller lips. Okay, we are just past the 10-minute mark. Here is our official before and after. What do you think? Can you see a difference? The cooling sensation has stayed pretty subtle. Like I said, I can only really feel it when I talk and like there's breath and air coming in and out of my mouth. All right, let's get into swatching the rest of these shades. This is shade 110 Ballet. So because my lips are kind of like a medium pink, this is not showing up super strong on me, but I do think it added a little bit of a rosy tint. This next shade is 120 Ribbon. I love this shade. It is more of a medium neutral pink. It's almost a Your Lips But Better shade on me, and I can definitely see this being sort of an everyday wear shade. This next shade is 130 Puff. That is a really pretty warm neutral on my skin tone. Sort of a rosy light brown. This is 140 Moi. It's spelled M-O-I, so it's like the French moi. This one is a really beautiful sheer mauve, but we're starting to get into a little bit more pigmented territory, at least on my natural lip tone. Also, as I'm going through these, I do feel like the cooling sensation is becoming a little bit more apparent. So probably just, you know, removing them, putting a new one on, and just having this formula sit on my lips for a more extended period of time. Very excited to swatch this one. This is 150 Hazel. That is the perfect everyday brown for my natural lip tone, with just a tiny bit of rosiness. Next is 160 Honey. Oh my gosh, this is a beautiful brown too. This is a little bit more of a mocha brown or a latte brown. It's not as rosy as the last one, but I still have a little bit of the pink coming through from my lips. Next is 170 Spice. I was a little worried because like warm reds I don't think look great on me. Like they don't fit into my color season, but because this is slightly translucent, I think it makes it much more wearable. Yeah, I surprisingly like this shade way more than I thought I would. And it doesn't really make my teeth look too yellow, which is also a problem with warmer reds and orange type shades for me. Okay, I want to take a quick intermission from the swatches just to point out something interesting. As I'm removing these plumping balms to swatch the next shade, I am noticing that the plumping effect or appearance is still there even after I've removed the product. So there is definitely something going on under the plumping balms. It is not just an optical illusion with the glossiness. My lip lines are actually still looking smooth after I've removed it. And overall, I think my lips are still looking plump. That's pretty cool. Let's resume the swatches. We already swatched this jam color, but I want to include all the swatches in order, so putting it on again. I think this still might be my favorite color so far. This one is 190 Bisou. I might take back what I said. This is so pretty. This shade is so pretty. This one might be my new favorite. Next we have 200 Chili. Okay, this one might be the most pigmented one yet. This one feels more melty than the others. As pretty as this shade is, it's kind of the most messy one. I don't know, it just feels like it's got a lot thicker of a consistency and it's very melty. So it feels like I over applied a bit. This shade is 210 Lana. Yeah, with these deeper shades, less is more. Wow, this is so pretty. I feel like every next one is like my new favorite. And last but not least, 220 Truffle. Ooh, this is giving Mocha Mousse like color of the year vibes. And this would be a beautiful neutral on deeper skin tones. But I'm a sucker for a deeper brown lip, and this is so good. Now, a few observations that I made while swatching these that I want to share. First of all, your mileage may vary shade-wise. Because they are tinted, because they are translucent, your natural lip shade will affect the final look. So as I was applying these, taking them off, applying these, taking them off, I was getting a little flushed in the lips, probably from like the rubbing and the, plumping sensation. And my lips were becoming rosier, which probably affected the last half of my swatches. But these deeper shades are a little more pigmented. They are going to show up better on those with deeper skin tones as well. Next, these are fragrance free, which I'm very happy about. Now, this third observation you may have been able to hear in my voice, but my throat is irritated. And I mentioned briefly earlier, that's something that does happen with me with almost every single lip plumper I've ever tried. And if that's something you experience, just because these are not a spicy lip plumper, you may still get that irritation in the back of your throat, just because, you know, you put something on your lips, it's gonna end up in your mouth. If you are sensitive, that may happen to you, but I'm not holding that against this product because that honestly happens with some normal lip glosses, so I'm sure it's a personal reaction. Now, as I was watching these, I realized that they are very similar to the ColourPop So Juicy Plumping Gloss Balms. Now, these are only $10. The Milani ones are about $16, and they do have some overlapping claims. So these also give you a cooling, plumping sensation with peptides and hyaluronic acid, as well as ceramides and ginger. And when I wear these, I do feel like they smooth out my lip lines. However, I don't think that they are actually plumping like the Milani ones do. Because with this one, when I take it off, my lips look larger. With this one, it's really more so just wearing it and diffusing the lip line look. And obviously it feels nourishing and it does have that cooling sensation, but I do think that the price difference is also reflecting an efficacy difference. At least for me in my experience. I do think that the ColourPop ones may be a little bit more pigmented though. Here's the ColourPop balm in vacay mode, and this is the Milani balm in Moi. A little bit more pigmentation from the ColourPop shade, although I know they're not like the exact same shade. And I will say texture-wise, the Milani one feels more like lip balm, whereas the ColourPop one almost feels more like a lip oil or gloss. A good option if you do want to save the extra $6, but I don't know, I'm just really impressed with the Milani effect. Plus the Milani has that clinically proven status to increase your lip volume like longer term. Now that is with daily use for 4 weeks. I don't know how many of us are going to reach for the same lip product every single day, but that claim is probably a factor in why they priced this the way they did, because, you know, $15.99, $16, that is pretty high for a drugstore brand. And I just feel like not many of us are actually going to reap those rewards from daily use because, you know, we just all have a handful of go-to lipsticks that we rotate toward, at least I feel like most of us do. So that is something to keep in mind when you're weighing out whether or not this is worth the buy for you. So because I currently don't plan on wearing these every day for a month, that is a claim that I won't necessarily be able to verify, but there are 2 other tests that I want to do before we wrap up this video. First up, I want to see how these pair with Milani's lip liner. Something that I'm noticing recently with a lot of these glossy lip products is that they break down lip liner because of the oils in the formula. And I imagine that some of you may want to pair these with a lip liner. Second test, I want to see how long the plumping effect lasts, because that's my biggest gripe with the lip plumpers that hurt and sting. The juice just ain't worth the squeeze because the effect wears off so quickly, at least on me. I'm going to apply the Milani Understatement Liner in Sassy Cherry. I always fill in the corners for a gradient look and blend it out a bit. Then I'll top it off with the Glossy Plumping Balm in Chili. Ooh, good combo. So I want to see as time goes on whether or not I notice that the liner is kind of migrating away from where I blended it, or maybe even feathering. I'm back to check in. It's been a little over an hour and I apologize. You're probably gonna hear someone drilling outside of my house. I don't know what they're doing. And here's what I'm noticing. So I am seeing a little bit of wear in terms of the lip liner I blended toward the corners, but there's no feathering. So I can deal with that. And frankly, I don't think it is really noticeable, and it wouldn't have been something that I clocked if I wasn't like keeping track. There is a little bit of product bunching in the corner of my lips though. I was sipping out of a glass, so it does have transferability. It's a glossy formula. It's not going to be budge proof, but this combo is still in better shape than I expected it to be. I would just suggest really focusing the balm toward the center of the lips when you're pairing it with lip liner. Now it's time for the plump timer test. So our control is going to be the before and after 15 minutes. And just like we saw during the earlier swatches, I could definitely see some smoothing and plumping at this point. Now, what really surprised me is that after 45 minutes, my lips actually looked like they got even
plumper. I mean, look at that bottom lip. With their Keep It Full Max Lip Plumper, I feel like after 30 minutes, my lips just go back to normal. So this was already impressive. But after an hour and 30 minutes, I could definitely still see the effect holding strong, which is way longer than any of the stinging lip plumpers I've tried. Now, I also wanted to show you the plump effect on my bare lips. So I took the color off and here's the before and after. I think this really illustrates how this formula is filling out my lips. I am so impressed.
As someone who's not really interested in getting filler, even though it's shoved in my face every time I go on social media, I've been super intrigued by all of the lip plumper launches that have happened at the drugstore over the past year. But like I mentioned, I just feel like all the viral ones that I've tried just aren't worth it. They're not worth the pain and they're just not worth the money for the temporary effect. So far, just as a first impression, these are probably the most pleasant to wear and I actually see a visible effect. So I wanna know what you think of these new Milani Keep It Full Glossy Plumping Balms. Would you try them? What's your favorite color? Do you like lip plumpers in general? Let me know all your opinions in the comments. Thanks so much for making it to the end. You can join me in this video next where I share easy, sustainable beauty swaps that'll actually save you money while making your routine more eco-friendly. I'll see you over there. Bye.